Welcome back, Pirates Nation, to Pirates Weekly. We are back on Zoom. It is offensive coordinator from the Massachusetts Pirates, Chris Thompson, joining Leverett Ball and myself, Oliver Nissi, on this edition of Pirates Weekly tonight. Coach Thompson, you live in Manheim, Pennsylvania in the offseason, and we'll start there. Before we got on the air, you were telling us about the rich history of your high school football team, kind of relating it to the movie and TV show Friday Night Lights. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it was a lot of history. High school head coach is in the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. He's retired now, retired teacher and coach of like 30, 35 years. And he's had a lot of greats to come through. Dan Kreider, former Super Bowl, fullback for Jerome Bettis and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Current NFL head coach of the Chicago Bears is Matt Nagy. Matt was a quarterback before me at our high school, at the same high school. And then quarterback after me was Jeff Smoker, who played at Michigan State and also a few years in the league. And then more recent, big name, Manheim Central Baron is Evan Simon, who's at Rutgers right now. I think he's a freshman, redshirt freshman. So, for Greg Schiano, so there's a lot of history. 17 district championships out of 20. Not many high school programs can say that. Here's a great stat for you: 34-3 in my 3 years of high school football. Yeah, 3 straight district championships, section championships, and lost 3 straight losses in the state playoffs. 2 to Berwick, 1 to Allentown Central Catholic.
Wow, those are some pretty heavy roots in the Manheim area of Pennsylvania. And speaking of Pennsylvania, you're an Eagles fan, but from talking to you off the air as well, I know that the Chicago Bears, you're also a big fan of them. And why don't you tell Pirates Nation, your experience with the Bears? You're coaching there in the 2019 training camp.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Coach Nags and I go way back, and the opportunity presented itself to be a part of his staff and have the opportunity to internship with the Chicago Bears last summer, and during my time, with the New York Guardians of the XFL, and it was great that both were very, cooperative in that scenario. But what an awesome opportunity! Got to work with the tight ends, Trey Burton. Unfortunately, some injuries and things like that happened, last year and year prior. But he's most certainly known for that Philly special pass to Nick Foles for the Super Bowl winning touchdown. Got really close with him during my time there. Definitely sat in on quarterback meetings with, Mitch Trubisky and Tyler Bray and Chase Daniels and Dave Ragone, the quarterback's coach, and Mark Helfrich, who was the offensive coordinator at the time, and just was a sponge as much as I could with all the different meetings and behind the scenes, film preparation, all that stuff. Pregame, it was a part of all 4 preseason games, and that was really cool. Being on the sideline and being in the locker room and getting to know guys like Khalil Mack and guys that are generational players, that are larger than life, literally, from a fan standpoint. And it was an awesome experience. And hopefully one day in the near future, I'll have another opportunity like that, to get back to the NFL.
Yeah, we're coming off of a Super Bowl win for the Buccaneers. Some people in this area were actually cheering for the Bucs because obviously they have longtime Patriot Tom Brady and also Rob Gronkowski. But, I've asked a number of players who we've had on this show. There have been some Pirates guys we've interviewed who have some NFL experience themselves, and I've asked them about some of their NFL contacts. From your time as a coaching intern in the NFL, did you get to know anyone who suited up in this past Super Bowl?
Absolutely. Chad Henne is a quarterback, from this area, from, Lancaster, Berks County, Pennsylvania. Frank Reich, the head coach of the Colts, is also from this same area. So you got 2 NFL head coaches from this same Lancaster County area of Pennsylvania. That's something to be said there. And a guy like Chad Henney is also from this area, and known him since he was at high school here at Wilson High School in Berks County. So, and then on the flip side, Oliver, we talked about it, Coach Lori Locust, first female Super Bowl winning assistant coach. She was one of my assistant coaches with the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks, not that long ago. So, it's, we were texting, I was texting with both of them, the night before, days before the game, and, rooting for both of them, obviously. And, a big fan of, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and just, Bruce Arians and what he's accomplished. I read his quarterback whisperer book because obviously that's the position I love and coach myself. And so it's really cool. It's really cool when you build personal relationships with certain people, players and or coaches or staff members that have opportunities to play in the Super Bowl, and then ultimately one comes out a winner and one doesn't. So
yeah, and speaking of quarterbacks, why don't we just jump to the Pirates and Pirates quarterback Sean Brackett, who Leverett and I, we had him on Pirates Weekly not too long ago. And I'd say the one thing that really stood out is Brackett, he's entering his age 29 season. And, he says that he's right in the middle of his prime. He's feel like he's never been better. From your conversations with the Pirates quarterback, how excited are you to coach him and how much better do you think he can be?
Well, that was one of the reasons why, taking this opportunity was a no-brainer. Obviously to work for Jawad and his family and the organization that is, in 2 short years has accomplished a lot and had a lot of on-field and off-field successes. And, I've known Sean, for years, I've never had the opportunity to coach him. We've talked almost weekly now for the last few weeks and, really excited to work with him. We're speaking the same language. He knows I understand the position and things that he's seen because we both have played the position and we both coached the position. I've adjusted the playbook to kind of fit some of the things that maybe some verbiage and things that he likes or has gained accustomed to over the years. And look, I don't want to rewrite the playbook here. It's, there's things that we're going to do concepts wise. There's things that we're going to do in the run game, and there's things we're going to add to it because we are in the IFL and the rules are slightly different than what the NAL or arena football, game is. So, and that has me excited to get, have that opportunity to do some different things offensively. And Alejandro Bonifield is another one that, I got to meet him last summer at Montclair State for the XFL showcase. And he was one of the quarterbacks there and we really liked him. He's a southpaw, he's a lefty and very athletic and he's quick with his feet and quick trigger. So both those guys have me very excited, and they're not rookies. They're veterans of the game. They understand the game. They've been coached, prior to me. And so it's, I'm excited to collaborate with them and get this thing going and work with the other personnel that we're going to have as skill player wise and the big boys up in the trenches where it all starts. So very excited. And it was a no-brainer when the opportunity was presented.
Yeah. And coach, you've worked with a number of quarterbacks, when you've coached specific teams, but you also do some of your own private one-on-one coaching with various quarterbacks. And there are various quarterback gurus out there. You're probably familiar with Tom House, how much he focuses on the biomechanics of throwing and analyzes all that. But when you personally work with quarterbacks, what are you focused on? Are you focused on mechanics, fundamentals, film study? What are the main things you try and focus on?
Great question. Try to incorporate everything, encompass everything. That position, there's a reason why it's one of the hardest positions to play because, you're scrutinized every little detail from a fan standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from the respect of your teammates standpoint. You know, you have the magnifying glass and the target on your back on everything you do. So it's so important. You know, one of my main focuses is obviously starting from the ground up and making sure their feet are you know, quick and fundamentally sound. You know, and obviously working the biomechanics and the core and the leg drive and the weight transfer. And then obviously, you know, the next part of it is pre-snap reads, post-snap reads, understanding, you know, coverages or blitzes or you know, what the defense may be trying to do, you know, each week or each play. You know, and that whole fun part of game preparation and you know, attacking each team differently each week of where we think that we can go after them, whether it's, you know, from a player personnel standpoint or a formation standpoint or whatever it may be. And those again are things that Sean and Alejandro will bring to the table, and really excited to work with them. And I think sky's the limit. You know, I think Sean hit it on the head. You know, he said he's 29 years old and he's still playing at a high level, and he's you know, he still, you know, has room to grow and a ceiling to still hit. And hopefully I can help him achieve that as well as Alejandro and making them both better and making us better as an offensive football team.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you know, starting from the ground up and focusing on footwork with quarterbacks. One quarterback who actually talked about that publicly is Tom Brady. I've seen some interviews with him talking about how he works on his footwork so much in the offseason. He'll even watch tape to analyze his footwork. And yeah, I think focusing on footwork has worked out all right for him. So yeah, definitely good advice there.
Yeah, it's the foundation of playing the position, in my opinion. And it's the foundation of all athletes, because look, you might have really good throwing mechanics, but as you climb the ladder of competition, and that level of competition bar raises every time you climb that ladder, what's the difference? Well, one thing is between their ears, you know, are they smarter than their opponent? And then the next part immediately is their feet, you know, and that goes for linemen, that goes for wide receivers, that goes for quarterbacks, you know, and that's one thing that I've learned significantly, you know, being able to coach in the XFL, the NFL, the Alliance of American Football, Arena Football League, National Arena League. I mean, I joke about it all the time, and I'm like, I've literally almost coached in every professional football league, even some that don't even exist anymore, you know, and it's great. I've been very blessed, but sometimes I'd love just to have a little bit more stability for me and my family. But, you know, that's the way it's been the last couple of years, and hopefully that changes.
Yeah, I feel like you know, your passion and your love for the game of football is just bringing you to all different walks of life, in all different leagues. But you know, getting back to the Pirates, I want to transition to the running backs, though. There's two running backs on the roster in Justin Stockton and Shannon Brooks. Stockton played his college football with Pat Mahomes recently in the Super Bowl at Texas Tech, and Brooks played in the Big Ten at Minnesota. Have you contacted them at all, or what do you like from them that you've watched on tape?
Well, obviously, I know Stockton very well from our time together in the XFL with the New York Guardians. And once I found out that he was a part, again, just like the whole Sean Brackett, you know, Alejandro Bonfield, it was a no-brainer, because Justin is an elite athlete. You know, played at Texas Tech, brings a lot of things to the table. Can run, can block, can catch the football. He's extremely fast and quick, getting from point A to point B. And that's one of the things that, you know, Pirates Nation is going to find out very quickly with what he can do with the football as a playmaker. And we're going to utilize that to the best of our ability. You know, and the same thing with Shannon Brooks. Watch some film of him. I've had conversations with him. And again, really excited to see what both these guys bring to the table here for this upcoming season and the things that we're going to do and try to incorporate with them within the offense.
Yeah, you talk about all the talent on the roster, and most guys, in the indoor game or the CFL, all these different leagues, they want to eventually get to the NFL. And for you as someone who has both worked in the indoor game and at the NFL level and seen players at both levels, what are the biggest things that some of these top players in the Pirates need to work on in order to advance to the NFL level?
Well, the one we just touched on and talked about a little bit was number one, their feet, and improving their foot quickness, and that goes for all the positions, but some of it is getting lucky too, right opportunity, right place, right time, right opportunity. I mean, look at perfect example is Taylor Heineke. Who just signed a multi-year deal with the Redskins, was in the NFL, then left the NFL, had an opportunity in the XFL. Now he's back in the NFL. And you see this all the time. Different leagues. The Indoor Football League has done a lot with moving players up and down, and to different levels. And Massachusetts Pirates has done the same with in the last couple of years. So it's I'm excited. I'm excited to work with the group that we're going to have of talent on both sides of the ball, specifically on offense, because that's my responsibility. And the run game is so important in the Indoor Football League, and that's not the way it's been the last couple of years in Pirates Nation. So that's going to be a huge, I think, change or adjustment to the fan base, is just seeing, all the different things that we're going to do running the football or incorporating the run game within our passing game that we're going to do.
Yeah, you talk about the run game. I mean, the Pirates have added a lot of size on the offensive line this past offseason. Oliver and I talked with EJ Price recently, although we gave him a hard time because combined, Oliver and I outweigh him by 40 pounds. So we told him, he needs to get in the weight room. But, EJ Price and a number of other guys, some beasts up front. I mean, how much will that help to just be able to, play that ground and pound football when you have some big bodies up front?
Well, I mean, look, that's where it starts. It starts in the trenches. It always does. And any quality, successful football team, I mean, you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, for instance, that they got it done up front on both sides of the ball, and the Chiefs unfortunately did not. They had some injuries that affected it, and they just didn't play up to the level they needed to. And when you have some not only big bodies up front, but athletic big bodies, as well as the knowledge and experiences that some of them have, that has me also excited. Guys that were in the XFL or NFL, like Jordan McRae, Dwayne Wallace, who was with the LA Wildcats in the XFL. I think we just signed another guy from the Vipers in the XFL.
Marquise Lucas.
Lucas, yep. So, yeah. I mean, look, those are guys that I'm already somewhat familiar with them because we were getting ready for the XFL draft, or we were getting ready to play those teams respectively and watching film of them. And so it's, look, that's where it starts. It starts with them first, and then it gets to our quarterback and our playmakers. And we, Coach O'Rell and I have had a number of conversations in the last few weeks. He's been a huge help in helping, update our playbook to, over to the Pirates, graphics and things of that nature. And we've had some great football discussions and chalk talk, and I'm really excited to work with him. And I haven't had the chance to work with him before. So.
Yeah. And, he's going to have his hands full because, we're talking about these offensive linemen. There's been more offensive linemen signed than any other position, 8 offensive linemen signed to date. So, Coach, it really helps. You've been mentioning your relationship with Bennyfield and Stockton in the XFL and a bunch of these offensive linemen, but you're telling the Pirates Nation that you've coached, had experience in the XFL and the NFL, but you've also coached in the IFL before, back when it was a young league back, about a decade ago. You're coaching for the Reading Express and the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks in 2011 and 2012. Are you excited to get back to the IFL, and how do you think it's changed since you've left?
First, yes, absolutely excited. And again, one of the other reasons why this opportunity, was a no-brainer. The Indoor Football League has grown, and it's grown substantially. And a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players, a lot of great ownership in this league, and fan base in the league is outstanding. I mean, we're, pre-COVID, some of these teams will get 10 to 15,000 fans a game in it, and that's what's awesome. That's awesome. Not, and then obviously the challenge to go against all these other coaches that, maybe I gotten to know in other leagues or have coached against them and with other teams and that is exciting too, because a lot of respectable, a lot of professional coaches and guys that I respect tremendously and look forward to the challenge of coaching against them. And, the second part of it is, both in Reading and in Lehigh Valley, those, even though it was a few years ago, the rules are still for the most part the same. There's more that we can do on offense. We can go four receivers, no back. We can go I formation in the backfield. We can have two guys in motion at one time, and then things that they can do on defense is they're not as restricted because there's no jack in the box that he can't drop into coverage. Now he can, so they could go for four defensive backs in the game with only one linebacker, so those things that are also exciting and then things, that we can do more on offensive and defensive, scheming is also exciting. So did I answer both those questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, how the Pirates do in the new league in the IFL. But the Pirates are in a really unique situation because they're entering a new league, obviously moving from the NAL to the IFL. But then they also, like a lot of teams, not just in football but throughout the sports world, had to take a season off because of the pandemic. So after an extended offseason, entering a new league, it's a unique situation. And for you joining the staff, it's certainly a unique situation. But what I wanted to ask was, have your prior experiences really prepared you for this? Because kind of like you mentioned, you've coached on a lot of different teams in a lot of different leagues, whether it's been, the NFL, the XFL, the IFL, the NAL, also the AAF, a league that's no longer around. And, you've always had to be able to adjust to the different systems that teams run and, just the different culture that each organization has when you move from team to team. So do you think that that's really, that whole experience has really prepared you for this current situation, joining a new team that's joining a new league in the middle of a pandemic after taking a season off?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, that all helps shape who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and the life experiences that, either we've been blessed with or we've had to go through, absolutely. Different personalities of different players, that all plays a part of it, of how to get your point across to them or get the most out of them and what you're trying to accomplish. Those are, and working with different, backgrounds of players and coaches. I mean, I've been a head coach 8 years, with two different organizations and those experiences in itself, hiring and firing, players and coaches and staff members and all those life experiences is some of them good and bad. And you learn from them, and you grow from them. And hopefully those are things that positive things that I can bring to the Pirates organization.
Yeah, you mentioned, being a head coach also, including, an extensive run as the head coach of the Steelhawks in the NAL. Now, as a coordinator with the Pirates, do you think that you're a better coordinator now and more prepared than, say, when you were a coordinator back in the day before your head coaching days?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, because you learn, you grow, you expand, you listen to your players. Yes, there is certain things and certain ways that I want things done, and but the same token, we're all grown men, and we all have the same common goal, and that is winning. And scoring one more point than the opponent that we're playing each week, and finding whatever way means possible to win. And, so we're all in it together. And that's the things that, I'm definitely not the same coach I was, in 2011 when I was my first, year as a head coach in the IFL, taking over for the Reading Express, which, again, no longer exists. Actually, it was 2010 when I was the interim head coach. And so you learn things, things that you see in film, you learn from watching, some other teams, and you implement it into what you're doing. And those are the challenging part of it, but also the fun part of being a coach and coordinating the offensive unit.
No question.
So, Coach, for the Pirates, we talked about the quarterback, the running back, offensive line. I don't want to leave the wide receivers hanging. So
you can't do that.
My question for you is, we have some wide receivers in the fold, and two of them stand out. They're former Pirates, in Thomas Owens and Rennell Hall. They already have that indoor experience. But for a guy like Darren Carrington, who was supposed to be with the Pirates in 2020, the season got canceled. But he's going to make his Pirates debut and professional indoor football debut this season. How do you help a guy like Carrington get adjusted to the indoor game for the first time?
Another great question. And you can never leave out the prima donnas, as I like to call them. But no, I love the wide receivers position. I think he's going to learn a lot from the veterans that are there. And then obviously, myself, and Sean and Alejandro, who are no longer, they're not rookies either. They're going to help that process. And obviously watching a ton of film. We're going to watch a lot of film and get better, whether it's practice time, or from games. And I'm a firm believer in watching film every day, or as much as you can, within the week, and knowing who your opponent is, knowing the guy you're going to go up against, and looking at those things. And those are things that, again, being a professional athlete comes into play. Some of these guys who maybe haven't played professional football yet, they got to learn those things. They got to learn to find the edge or the advantage on the opponent, their guy they're going up against. And then hopefully there's some things that I can help, increase the learning curve, and get them along quicker in what we're doing, by just, going over some things with him on the field or in practice. And then obviously, on the film and in the classroom.
Yeah, I never really thought about this before, but it just kind of came to light that, you're an offensive guru, the offensive coordinator. In practice, you're going to be going up against the defensive coordinator and Rayshon Kaiser, he's arguably one of the greatest indoor football players of all time. I think he ranks third all time in Arena Football League interceptions with over 60. So you guys are going to be, going at it in practice. It's almost like it's going to be, a real game. But Coach, I want to ask you now about the schedule. The schedule originally came out in November, that the Pirates were, they were going to be heading out to North Dakota to play the Bismarck Bucks, starting on April 2nd. The schedule has now changed a little bit. It's been pushed back 3 weeks. Instead of going to Bismarck for the first game, you guys are going to be going to Louisville. So not as far, but originally back in November, the first two games were supposed to be in Bismarck and then head home for the home opener. Now the schedule has changed. It's going to be starting 3 straight road games. So, I'm not sure if you've had the chance to look through the schedule, but What do you think about those first 3 road games? How hard of a test is that going to be?
Extremely. Hey, we're gonna become road warriors real quick. I mean, you said 6 away games, right? 5 or 6 away games in the first 2 months.
Yeah.
So we're definitely top heavy on the road, which means I would think second half of the season we're going to be top heavy at home.
Yep.
And so obviously the mindset for us has to be, starting out with that many road games is we got to find ways to win on the road, and that we're going to be tested quickly how well we are on the road, and can we, what adversity are we going to face on the road in these different arenas or different opponents that we're going to face. And that's all part of it, learning to win on the road, dealing with, jet lag or, long bus rides or whatever it may be, shortened practice weeks because we have an extra day of travel or something like that. It's going to test us, and it's a great test. And, we're gonna do our part to make sure that we can come out on top heading into that second half of the season when we're at home in front of our own Pirates fan base.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you said earlier, there are certain parts of being a professional football player that maybe guys don't have to deal with in college. And some of those specific things you mentioned are some of those challenges and maybe kind of a learning curve for the younger players. But also one thing I meant to ask was, we talked about Coach Kaiser, the defensive coordinator, but also the Pirates head coach, Patrick Pass. You'll be working with him, obviously. And we talked about the Super Bowl earlier. And Tom Brady obviously getting another ring, but Coach Pass actually played with Tom back on the Patriots when he was the Patriots fullback. Used to block for him, take handoffs from him. Also played under Belichick. Yep. Someone who many consider to be the best coach of all time. But everyone's impressed with his resume with the Patriots. But from everything I've heard, he's also a very good coach. How do you feel about working with him?
Yeah, I mean, look. I've had conversations with Coach Pass and loved the 45-minute, 60-minute conversation we had because we have a lot of similar beliefs. Obviously he's played for one of the greatest in Coach Belichick, and you don't get to be that level and Super Bowl wins that organization has had without, structure, organization, discipline, accountability, all those things. And that's what has me excited about working with Coach Pass. His prior experiences. Same with Coach Kaiser. I've been a fan, or in a sense, have watched Coach, Ray Sean Kaiser as a player, when he played for the Soul or other Arena Football League teams, and know what he was capable of as a player and what he accomplished as a player, both of them. And so it's exciting to be around them and pick their brains and watch them and again learn from them, grow from them. I mean that's hey, look, either getting better or you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. And as a player or as a coach, and you try to pick up and learn different things from different experiences and from different coaches and players along the way, and make it part of who you are.
Yeah, and you mentioned talking with Coach Pass over the offseason and how he learned the Patriot way. During any of your conversations, did he ever tell you, Coach Thompson, do your job?
Not yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Yeah. No, I mean, look, we have an outstanding coaching staff. I've got the chance to talk with Coach Snay, our special teams coordinator and linebackers coach. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, from that standpoint of battling against one another in practice to make us better, and then working together each week against that opponent to get those W's and stack those W's week after week. And that's the mindset. And I know Coach Pass has that, that same mindset, and he's going to pass it down to us and down to his players. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and last season would have been his first season as head coach. Obviously, like we said, couldn't play because of the pandemic. So it'd be really, really fun to see him, get after it this season, no question.
Yep. Looking forward to it. They can't get here soon enough.
Right.
I haven't had a chance to see the new schedule, but I did hear the rumor that it was being pushed back 3 weeks. So, I'm sure I'll take a look at it here soon.
Yeah.
With the top-heavy Road Warrior season that we're going to have.
Well, one thing I do know off the top of my head, I don't physically have it in front of me, but I was looking at it a lot yesterday. And one thing I do know that kind of is discouraging is we're no longer playing Sioux Falls.
Well, hey, look, they're one of the powerhouses in the league, and they have been for a long time, just like Arizona. Again, like I said, there's a lot of great and storied traditions of teams that have been around for 10 years, or more, or close to that. And so, but the Massachusetts Pirates is going in that same direction, in my opinion.
So, Coach, obviously, you've had various jobs in the coaching world, and the pandemic has caused you to move around a little bit more than maybe you expected. But what's it been like, also working as a broadcaster? Oliver and I hope you stick with coaching with the Pirates because we don't want to be unemployed. But how has it been? You mentioned you've done some stuff with high school teams as a broadcaster. What has that experience been like?
It's been awesome, and look, you find creative ways to stay in the game. The pandemic again was none of our control. It was out of our control. Leagues ceasing operations like the Alliance of American Football or the XFL, out of my control. Great opportunities, take a lot from it. Had a ball with it, but like I have a family. I got to find ways to put food on the table and things of that nature. So, working with quarterbacks with the elite skills coaching was one way. Being a color analyst for Service Electric Cable TV 2 Sports in the Lehigh Valley area, who used to cover Steelhawks home games and had that, relationship I built over the years. They would do high school football games a week and wanted to be a part of it. And hey, I'll try my best Tony Romo impression. And
why not?
Why not? But, I enjoyed it, but it's not where my heart and passion is. I love coaching. I love being in, administrative roles, management roles as well in professional sports teams.
Well, Coach, just a suggestion. I don't know how often you've watched the old Gruden QB Camp TV show. I mean, you're a quarterback guy. Maybe like an IFL version of the Gruden QB Camp show. Who knows? Hey. Just throwing that out there.
Love it. Not a bad idea.
All right, well, Coach. Well, we've been talking a lot of football, and I want to wrap up the interview with this question. Again, Coach Chris Thompson, offensive coordinator for the Pirates, joining Leverett Ball, and myself, Oliver Nissi, Pirates Insiders, on this edition of Pirates Weekly. Coach, you've had a lot of positions in the football world. You've been working in the professional football for 15 years, if I have that correct.
Yeah.
You played high school football. You've had a long life. I'm not trying to call you old or anything, but you've had a lot of experience. And my question is, what's the most valuable life lesson that you carry with you up until this point in your life?
Wow, great question. Oh man, yeah, 15 years. It's going by quick. Wearing all different types of hats, an array of roles and responsibilities, assistant general manager, head coach, offensive coordinator, director of football operations, position coach. I mean, I crack the joke all the time that I've literally done everything but be an owner. And I don't want to be an owner. I don't. I have zero desire. But, I think one of the things that I've learned is just, just grind. I love and enjoy the grind, because I love this game. The game has done so much for me, from when I was little on and getting a chance to play it in high school. at a great program, then getting the chance to play at Bloomsburg University for a national championship my junior year in high school or junior year in college, to be in, all Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, quarterback. I mean, been very blessed. And look, we had a lot of adversity, especially of late with the pandemic and being unemployed twice in a year and a half because of different things and things out of my control. And, it's all part of, people have all kinds of different adversity in life, and just fight through it, grind on, and keep moving forward, and turn every negative into a positive. That's all you can really do.
Maybe that positive could be winning an IFL championship this season. Who knows?
We're gonna do our best. I can tell you that. And I'm excited for that opportunity.
Yeah, that's definitely a great message for your players this season, because you're not the only one that was without a job in the past year or so. I'm sure some of these players, so if just I love the message. Keep grinding. The Pirates are going to be grinding all season from April to August. It's going to be a fun ride. Coach Chris Thompson, thank you so much for coming on Pirates Weekly. It's been a blast, and I hope you had fun.
I had a great time. Thanks for having me, and look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. Well, Leverett Ball, Oliver Nissi, Pirates Insiders. Again, Chris Thompson joined us on this edition of Pirates Weekly. We'll see you next Friday, Pirates Nation.